Welcome to the Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the leader and largest online marketplace for midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Hey everybody, it is your host team from the Landlord Diaries coming to you every week with brand new episodes all around the country about midterm rental hosts on Furnished Finder. I'm Kelly Bailey and my co-host Katie Lyon. We're both midterm rental investors ourselves and we work for the Furnished Finder marketing team. Katie, what do you want to tell us about today's exciting episode?
Yeah, Eric is great. He has 2 properties down in Florida. One of them he used to use as a short-term rental, but then he discovered midterm rentals, completely pivoted, and he rents them out by the room. And he has a really, really interesting audience that he's discovered that I can't wait for everybody to hear about. So he's got some great tips on that. And he's also discovered a way to bring in some extra revenue that was very creative. And we talk about some tips about really getting to know your market and ways that you can do that. And those ways to get your market are all things that are going to add to your revenue. So this is a great one. And we hope everybody enjoys. And please remember to share with a friend or another midterm rental landlord that might be interested.
Eric Greenstein owns 2 properties in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A long-term rental and a midterm rental he's listed on Furnished Finder for about 2 years now. Depending on the season, he's rented this home as an entire unit or by the room. Eric is founder of a real estate investment group called LikeMinded. Eric, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us. We love to tell stories from all around the country. So if you're looking through our list and there's a state we haven't hit yet, reach out to me. I'm looking for at least one guest from every state. And I think we've covered. What's your guess, Katie? How many think we've covered? 20, 30 states? What do you think?
I'm going to say 25 because there's still some random states out there. Oh,
yes.
There's some hard ones to get, but I think it's a fun goal for us.
It is, for sure. So, Eric, let's start with, what led you to be passionate about real estate, investing in your own properties, and then also starting LikeMinded?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Again, thank you for having me on. Real estate there's always been an attraction to it, right? I don't know where it really came from, but I believe just the idea of owning a piece of land, right? Of owning a property, of owning, the American dream, right? Buying something to live in was always a thing, right? I have always loved the idea of property, but of actually renting, right? Randomly in college, right? I was like, oh man, I'm renting this house with 2 other people, right? 2 of my friends, and we're basically renting each room out, right? I'm like, what if I just buy the property and then rent it out to my friends, right? Of course, I didn't have enough money then, but it was always embedded in my brain that I'm like, oh, that would be such a good idea. So fast forwarding to 2017, market was kind of a little on the lower end. Looking back at it. And in my area, I was like, I kind of want to expand. I want to, buy something a little less expensive. So I took a chance about 2 hours away from me in Cape Coral, Florida. Purchased a single family home on the water. Really, really awesome place. Direct access to the Gulf. Really good price, and then listed it as a short-term rental and kind of learned from there. I had no idea what I was doing. 2 hours away, what am I thinking, right? Didn't have all these tools and everything to I guess, manage it properly. But I owned that for a little bit, and then went straight into duplex and figuring out that I can actually buy a duplex, right? I didn't know that. I thought it was for someone else, not me, right? So as I figured that out, then I kind of got into, the midterm, and here we are. Absolutely love it. It's a very creative way of generating revenue, income every month on your properties. And I'm sure we'll talk about more and more on this episode of how other additional ways, right? I believe I brought up to you, Kelly. So kind of that, and leading into me being very, very passionate about, linking up with other investors. I was like, man, I can't find something here locally that is a meetup or something that I can attend that have other investors. So I just basically decided to start it myself. And 6 years later, it kind of turned into where we're at now. And we're in 12 cities, and it's just an awesome network and community. So I'm very, very excited for what the future has to hold for us. And, let's see, right? So.
And I think summits is one of your main focuses for LikeMinded, and then you also have in-person or virtual meetups as well. How often are you having summits throughout the year for those that, maybe like that idea?
Yeah, we are pushing for 4 this year, 3 in Florida, and we already have 1 in Arizona.
Okay.
That was in February. So we're pushing for that. It's a lot, right? People don't understand. There's a lot that goes into organizing it, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. But I love it. I love, again, bringing people together, but on a bigger stage, on bringing people to speak and share knowledge. That's my passion. So, yeah.
I love that. All right. So Eric, you've got 2 properties in South Florida, right? 1 midterm, 1 long term. Tell us kind of, what are you looking to do in the future? What are your real estate goals?
Well, my real estate goals, I would say per month, is to generate between $15,000 to $20,000 a month off of the properties. Meaning those are going to be obviously more and more properties, but whatever that goal, whatever that number is, and however many that properties that gets me to that goal. Right. Eventually, my long-term goal is to own and operate over 500 doors. That's my goal for the long term. But all I really want is just a really good portfolio that's appreciated. I love buy and holds, and the markets where those are is specifically here in South Florida, obviously other areas, but that's my goal, is just to buy in areas that are going to be appreciated, and then you can obviously do some HELOCs and all that other stuff that we can go into, but
Yeah. If you're listening right now and you're like, 500 doors, that's a big number. I don't ever have that goal. Keep in mind, you can go back and listen to our episode with Rachel Gainsborough. She's got a really cool story of the 2-door method, that you just need 1 short-term, 1 midterm, both luxury, and you can generate just as much profit and revenue on 2 doors if you find the right one. So we do value the growth in real estate, right? And 500 doors is an amazing goal to aim towards and achieve. And so we applaud you in that, Eric, and look forward to following your journey there. But let's live where you are right now. You've got your midterm rental. Tell us about the layout. It sounds like it's a duplex. You've rented it as an entire unit. You've rented it as a room rental. So give us the scoop on your midterm rental.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. So I live in a certain area where there's hospitals, where there's a lot of commute, where there's a lot of remote workers. Everyone wants to be here. The beach is like 10 minutes away. I mean, it's a very the area is desired, right? So when I initially started doing the month-to-month midterm rental concept, I obviously had it on Furnished Finder, put a bunch of signs out around the premises or even like down the street, and gotten some calls. And most of these individuals were either in industries that they were only here for a couple of months, a month, a couple of weeks, and they're like, hey, do you have a room? I'm like, sure, I do, right? So that's kind of what got it started. Now, the remote workers is really important in this area, and the amount of money that you can make per month rather than doing long term is a huge, right? So the gap is way different. So I specifically was looking for anyone that wanted 2 months, 3 months to come in. I had obviously the place furnished, and it was great. I would used to go through the whole concept of getting them on board, and then going through TransUnion, right? Looking in their background check, seeing what they have going on, and then inviting them in and just putting them on a month-to-month lease, right? So to me, it's one of the best methods for my portfolio, and it's just for me, it's very easy.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Furnished Finder, the ultimate platform for hassle-free midterm rentals. Whether you're a seasoned landlord or just getting started, Furnished Finder has everything you need to find your next tenant. With Furnished Finder, you can say goodbye to booking fees, markups, and commissions, and hello to direct bookings. If you're ready to experience all the benefits renting your property for 30 days or more, head over to furnishedfinder.com, where you can list your property for one low annual price. We make it easy to get started.
Yeah, I like how, Eric, you emphasize how simple and easy it is. And was it always your primary? If it was always your primary, where were you living when you rented out as an entire unit?
So it would either be living with my girlfriend, which that's that happens, but I try not to. Just kind of keep it separate.
Yeah,
there.
because she's probably going to want some profit out of that.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, it happened once, and I stayed there for like a week, and she's like, "Where's my half?" So I commend that. That's big on her. But yeah, I mean, it's either there or I go and just live in the other unit, and that's really about it. I try to do it as of the availability, right, of my schedule. I travel for work sometimes, so if I'm traveling, then I have the whole unit open for a couple of weeks or a month, and then I'm staying in one city, etc. So whatever works with basically my schedule, right? I know that sounds strange, but I base it off of what I'm doing, where I'm going, and then plan it out. And then obviously, Kelly, I don't know if I can go into to the whole yachty rentals.
Yes. Yeah. We are looking forward to that. Okay. It's on my list. Go ahead.
Okay. So
we're talking about tenant types now.
Tenant types. Yeah. So tenant types, it's all about area. It's all about where you are. It's all about where you're located. And where I'm located specifically it's actually the yachting capital of the world, meaning there's the most yachts here. Okay?
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I think it's here, maybe like one other place in another country, but like we're very close, or the leader of it. So here in West Palm, there's 2 hubs basically, and where I am, there's literally a marina a block away, and when the crew, right? So the yachties, I don't know if you've heard of that term before, but if you go on TV, there's this show called what is it called? Below Deck or something. So and like they actually usually film it over here. But it's so like that is like, if you were to go and watch it, you would understand like they're on land, they're not on land, they need a place to put their stuff, or they're going in between jobs, right? then they need a place to stay for a month, or they need to put their stuff there for a month. Sometimes they're not even here, right? And the strategy is per room per bed, right? So if it's per room per bed, it's $250 per bed per room. You have 2 beds in each room, right? You're generating $500 a week, and there you go, right? So if you have two rooms, you're generating $1,000 just for that unit.
And are you able to apply that pricing model to midterm as well, or are you talking more on a short-term basis?
No, this is midterm.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah. They do either a month or 2 months. Sometimes
I don't
3
think
months.
you do short term. Do you do short term, Eric, or you do all month or longer? That's what I was thinking.
No, I used to do short term.
Yeah.
That was my first property, but I don't do that anymore.
And
Yeah.
have you had some of these yacht contractors or employees stay at your place? I think in an entire room right now, and you're just branching into the idea of putting beds in there versus entire room rentals. So it's a fascinating world. We have one episode that's about bed rentals, and it's sober living bed rentals. But we also had at the Midterm Rental Summit, I spoke with someone in the airline industry, works for Delta, and rents out crash pads for airline attendees. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is what Eric's saying is you could maximize your revenue and provide a missed opportunity in the market for renting out beds to flight attendants or airline attendants, yacht members, yacht employees or contractors. I'm curious if you guys listening know of any other great bed rental tenant types, please put it in the show notes. We'd like to hear about them for sure.
I think this also speaks to getting to know your market, right? Because obviously the only way Eric was able to discover this was to get to know his market. And so many people think of midterm rentals as just medical professionals or, just insurance housing or whatever it is. But there's so many use cases. Kelly, you and I are still learning about all the different ones. Like this one is the perfect example. But to
Pops
really
up all
get
the
to
time.
know it, you have to get to know your market, even if you don't live there. And that's the type of stuff that you can't really find online or in a forum or anything like that. Like you got to jump in and just start exploring. So kudos for doing that. Are there any lessons you've learned so far with renting by the bed versus by the room?
Yes. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with mixing in rooms, right? Meaning, gender, right? You just gotta kind of be careful with that. You also just want to know if they know each other, if they don't know each other, and that's why I do the background checks, just to make sure that they're good to go and nothing is bad, right? But yeah, so that is one of them. Other than that, I mean, it's been really easy. And I even think I was mentioning to Kelly that like this type of industry, they're so neat. Like they're neat, they're tight. They clean up after themselves. It's just very because they're on ships, right? They're on boats, they're on yachts, so like they need to be clean. They need to be tidy. They keep all their stuff in the corner, or they don't bother people. So for right now, it's been great. The tenant selection and how this type of industry acts has been phenomenal. So
Awesome. I want to add one thing in regards to the tenant type. We're saying make sure you know your market. I don't know about you, Katie, or Eric, but to know my market, all I do is watch tenant leads. It's like I haven't really gotten into following the news or following what the city has coming. Those are all great things to do, but I have found the easiest way for me to keep up with who's coming into my market is just through the variety of requests coming in on Furnished Finder Tenant Leads. And it changes. Like I've been on Furnished Finder for about 3 years now or more. And at first, maybe there was a lot of traveling medical professionals in my Temple Belton area. Now I'm seeing a lot of electricians, and there's a solar farm going in. Military families come for Fort Cavassa close by. We didn't win this one, but it's one of those tenant lead types that he came in. He toured about 6 different properties. He needed a midterm rental for a year with his wife while he was, I believe, an officer stationed at Fort Cavassa. And I think he was at the Pentagon when I was talking to him. So it's like all these different tenant types are coming in, and I just find out about them from Furnished Finder. Katie, where do you keep up with your market?
I think that's really smart, Kelly. I think that's another value of those unmatched leads, even if you don't get bookings there as often. There are some really good insights. Mine are very similar, and also just all of our midterm rentals right now are out of state, but my family lives in the area. So they know, like, hey, this new project has started to go on, and this new hospital is being built. And those are more insights into the future, because they're not going to have those tenant leads yet, but they have kind of the stuff that's not going to be on the news. It's not going to, like, you only really know if you're living there, right? They're like, oh, they're talking about this big project, or they were building this hospital and they got behind on contractors, so they have to bring in people, like this stuff that nobody's going to talk about, but
right.
They have those insights. That has been incredibly helpful for us, as well as just knowing the market as far as like, okay, this area is growing, this area is kind of settling off, or whatever. So I think that is kind of a way that you can put a few things together. So. All right, Eric, we've talked about how we like unmatched leads to look into kind of the crystal ball. But tell us what has proved beneficial for Furnished Finder for your business thus far. And some things maybe on Furnished Finder, if there's anything that you use that maybe most people don't tend to use as much as they should.
Hey landlords, are you ready to level up your rental game and simplify your midterm rental business? Well, get ready to meet your new best friend, KeyCheck. KeyCheck is your all-in-one solution for stress-free property management. With tenant-paid screenings, online rent payment processing, custom lease creation, and a suite of incredible landlord tools, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. No more chasing down checks or sifting through piles of applications. KeyCheck helps you organize and manage all things landlording in a simple and efficient way. Make landlord life a breeze with KeyCheck, the game changer for modern property owners. Visit KeyCheck.com to unlock the power of stress-free property management and take your rental business to new heights.
Well, first off, it's a great platform for leads, obviously, right? But what I like is the way that I do it is any lead that comes in that's matched or even unmatched, I'll reach out to them, right? It's the quickness, it's the way that Furnished Finder provides the information for us to contact them, right? Very easy, very straightforward. Hey, this is their name, this is their budget, this is the requirements. And then what I can do is, if I have that full unit open, I can also be like, hey, if you don't want the full unit, we also have a room, right? Or I can do a discount for you, right? Or whatever. Also, I like the fact that the number is there, so I can text them or email them. And when I was actually informing Kelly that I send videos, like a walkthrough of the place.
In your first text, I think, like
in my
as
first text.
communication includes a video, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So the way when the lead rolls through, it sends me a text, right? I think I just got a text not that long ago, like today.
This is live, guys. Live Furnished Finder text
Hold on.
coming in.
right here at 8 o'clock, right?
That's what it looks like.
I just got a text that says, hey, you have a new tenant lead from so and so. I'll just keep that, I won't repeat the name. Please log into your dashboard to view your lead. All right, that's a wonderful thing. All right, so you know that there's someone looking now. Katie, I do like how you just basically said when you know your market, right? Right now, it seems like my market is going off the chain because I keep getting text messages every day and leads. So now I know that in May, right, this is the hot time, which it is. It is. Not hot temperature, which actually is coming next month.
Maybe both.
But then it might slow down a little bit for vacationers. But this is not a seasonal place, right? Where I was before on the West Coast is very seasonal. That's actually what I learned doing short term over there. Not really the best for that, right? So yeah, I mean, Furnished Finder is just a really, really valuable tool to use. Any investor that I'm in front of, they don't know you, I obviously tell them about Furnished Finder because it's just a really good tool to utilize. And it's only $100, right? Is it $100 or $150 now?
Yeah, 150 per year. That is not per month. That is per year. So it breaks down to about $13 per month. Totally worth it, especially when you compare it to one booking on a short-term rental platform that's taking 3% or more of your profits. So definitely worth the value. And you see all those tenant leads rolling in. Yeah. So I'm loving this. Let's keep rolling into some of those midterm rental Furnished Finder tips where in a room rental situation, it's going to be a little bit different than just doing your standard tenant screening for someone renting your entire property. And if you are new to the concept of midterm rentals, we have our sister company, KeyCheck, which is the suite of business tools for your midterm rental process. Once you get someone that says, hey, I'd like to move forward in the booking process, then we have KeyCheck available for you. And most of the features are free to the landlord and paid by the tenant. And it's just a way for you to successfully keep your midterm rental business simple and on track and build that trust by using Furnished Finder tools. So in addition to those tenant screenings, what kind of application type questions or topics do you make sure in touch when someone is going to share the home with you since you're in one of the rooms?
Yeah, screening questions about what they do, what are they here for, how long they're here for. When they're living with me, it's a little different ball game. Of course, I have them go through the whole background check, and then we'll go from there. I'll also, I do remember, Kelly. Remember when I was kind of saying that I kind of got better as an entrepreneur, as a business owner of
right.
when I hire, I use like the disc profiling process, and it's not like I give them the whole 24 question form to fill out. It's just I've been doing it for a couple of years, so I kind of have that in my mind already. So when I'm talking to them and asking them questions, and I kind of figure out who they are, how they act, how they interact, like with me in the area, right? Additional to that, are they a partier? Are they not a partier, right? What's their schedule like? Are they going to come in, come out at like 2 a.m., slam the door or not, right? So they're just questions that you kind of want to ask if they're living in your own space.
Mm-hmm. And room rentals don't have to operate a lot different than entire units. So a few quick tips on the, making sure you get the right tenants in the home. So in the year that Dave and I have been doing room rentals at one of our Temple properties, it has been, we've only had 4 tenants, which is pretty impressive. We have 2 room rentals. Rather than renting out all 3 bedrooms in our 2-bedroom home, we do a luxury room rental where everyone, so there's only 2 people in the home, they get their own private bath, and one person gets 2 queen bedrooms and a private bath. The other person gets the master bedroom and a private bath. And that just kind of filled a gap in our market where there were a lot of maybe room rental prices around $800 or $900. And so I have been able to ask for $1,400 and kind of hit those travelers that don't want too much shared space, but also need that more affordable pricing and need the room rental, for that specific time in their life for their stay. So what I do is when they reach out and say, I'm interested in your room rental, I, give a bit of a background on the person that's currently in the home. I ask them, are they traveling with pets? Since I offer 2 bedrooms and 1 bath, couples inquire a lot of times that might be interested because they get a little bit more space, right? Or right now, one of our guests is actually a realtor and she has 2 cats. So she has one of the bedrooms and then the cats have the other bedroom. So there's so many, and the gentleman that moved in with her said, I was like, she has 2 cats. So you wonder, like, is someone going to want to live with 2 cats? And he said, I actually miss my cat a lot. I'd like to consider bringing my cat, but for now, I think it would be nice to have cats in the home. So it worked out great. And then the next thing that I do is say, hey, if this sounds interesting to you and like something that might be a good fit, then the next thing I want to do is connect you so y'all can talk, make sure it will be a good fit for both of you. And if so, then we'll move forward with the tenant screening, the lease, and the rent payments. And that has worked well for a year and a half now.
Yeah, I think communication is so key in midterm rentals in general. And then when you get to the room rentals, that becomes even more important, right? Because you don't want to end up in a situation where you've got co-tenants that don't get along, right? But taking that communication and taking it very seriously and being really thorough and transparent, and then getting those background checks. KeyCheck uses TransUnion, which is great. It's a soft credit check, but it also gives you an eviction check. It gives you a criminal history check. Like, you can feel really solid about that person. And that's definitely something you do not want to skip over.
On the revenue side, just one more quick thing to add on room rentals is this is our home that has an ADU in the back. So what's really nice is when you have a potential vacancy in an entire unit, you're covering the mortgage, right? It's a little bit more important. So when it comes to room rentals, especially with an ADU in the back, all I need is 2 tenants to cover the mortgage. And then that 3rd tenant is my cash flow. So so far, the cash flow is around $1,500 or $1,400 if both rooms if all 3 rooms are filled between the house and the private ADU in the backyard. So it can kind of give you a little bit more of that less risk and more reward by having the multiple units as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that my area was about the same, and obviously it depends on when you buy the property as well, right? I bought at the right time, not knowing it was the right time, but I bought at the right time, and my mortgage is only like $2,800 right now, and I was getting around $4,000 with the whole unit, right? So, and that's just one unit. So, then you go to the other unit, and if you rent out the rooms additionally, you do some yachty rentals in there, and you have it month to month, and they're on monthly basis contracts or leases, then you're just, the sky's the limit from there. Like I said, it's $1,000, right, per week if you fill the rooms, right? If you fill the rooms. So that's an extra $4,000, right? So it's just there's so many ways to obviously generate some really nice revenue. Also, you want me to go into the additional revenue?
Yes.
When you think of water, what do you think of boats, right? So these small boats, like sailboats, and the smaller little raft tube dinghies that people don't necessarily want to pay a bunch of money for, but what I do is I can charge between $200 to $300 per month, right, and have it in the yard, which is wonderful. And that just gives me, personally me, because there's actually no restrictions in my neighborhood, and it all depends on the restrictions, right, in your neighborhood. So you just got to be kind of careful with that. But for me personally, it's great. What's a nice extra, $600 coming in just for having a cool sailboat or a cool boat in the front yard, right? So there's always ways of providing and getting some additional income. And for me personally, from my experiences, that's just been an awesome way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I use Neighbor. Good. Okay. Yeah, and I also use Neighbor for that purpose, and it's another really good tool to use along with Furnished Finder. And additionally, I did have a Furnished Finder tenant who needed to leave a car here, and what they did was they paid extra for that spot, right? Because they were flying in, flying out. So they're like, well, could I leave the car here? I'm like, of course, but it's this amount extra, right? So additionally to the room, I charged them an extra $250. They leave their car there, and that was for 4 months, right? So
Yeah. Midterm rentals are full of options for creativity. Like whether it's like finding out that, like you said, like the yacht folk need places to stay, or that people need places to park their car, or maybe they want to rent something additional from you. There's a lot of things that would go hand in hand with your listing on Furnished Finder, like a parking fee, right? I know my listings, all of them have free parking except one that's in a downtown environment. And I'm like, I can't include parking at this price, but I have the option to pay for like I just tack it on and I put it in my listing and I say, if you want parking, it's X amount. And you can do that with all sorts of stuff. You can put it in your listing. You can tie it into other places. Like you could, if you're in Florida, you could offer a boat. You can offer to have groceries pre-delivered by the time they get there. You can have all of these things that all circle back to the core of hospitality, right? But still offer you some added cash flow, because cash flow comes from value. Right? When you provide value to someone, that's what you make money from. Like we're all in real estate, but we're really in a service. Like we are offering a service. And those are all things that people find very valuable and will pay for. And it's a fair way to add value to your rental and then to increase your rental rate. So I think that's very smart. And I think there's so many ways to get creative, like you said, like the boats, or maybe you've got some bikes, or maybe if someone's missing their cat, maybe you could have a cat that they could pay $200 a month to rent.
Now
Kelly, you said that one tenant was missing their cat. This is not this part is unaffiliated with Furnished Finder, okay? But like if you want to rent a cat. No, please don't. Please don't go renting animals out by the month. This is
maybe a robot cat in the future.
Right, there we go. So. Maybe a robot. It doesn't feel totally ethical. But,
I want to lean into this a bit more. The way that we are saying that you can generate additional revenue by these amenities, you can also make your property stand out by emphasizing amenities that you have the space for that other people don't. So some Furnished Finder tips would be, let's say you have a property that you could store an RV on or a boat on. Well, now you don't only have that as an amenity for one of your properties, you potentially have it as amenity for all of your properties, because all you have is the space, and you could add in your headline, RV parking available. So now the families that travel around the country with RVs have an option, and they may not even care if it's, they're paying for storage normally. So rather than paying for storage, you could work it into the rental if you're in a competitive market, or if you kind of have a commodity on the RV storage, well, then you could charge extra for that RV storage. Think of ways that you can put it in your photos, in your title. Look at your competition on Furnished Finder and see, what do I have that they don't have that's not going to break the bank, but I can stand out by offering this. I think that's a great way to wrap up. Any last tips y'all want to discuss? Or should we let them all get to work on how they want to get started in the midterm rental space or add additional revenue to their properties?
I mean, I say go get started.
Eric, if someone wants to connect with you, how would you like them to do so?
Yes. You could go to LikeMindedPro.com. My information is on there, as well as you can email me at Eric at likemindedpro.com. I'm available pretty much anytime. If you call me during the sleep, I'll probably pick it up, but probably not because I have it on silent. But so you can reach out to me.
I was gonna say, careful what you promise.
I know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited. We're continuing to grow in the United States, and we really want to be in other communities and keep building and keep sharing, and that's it, right? That's why we do this. So
yeah,
I'm really excited, and I really, really appreciate you having me on here. It was awesome talking to the both of you. And I'm gonna continue to be an awesome Furnished Finder host. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and to lean into that growth portion as we wrap up. Furnished Finder has over 250,000 properties nationwide. So rather than only sharing the Landlord Diaries with a friend, don't forget to share Furnished Finder with a friend, a traveler that, in the corporate world that may not know about the benefits of the housing request feature, or that Furnished Finder is the most affordable option because we don't have booking fees tacked on like short-term rental platforms. So thank y'all so much for listening. We'll see you next week, and have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.